नीचे काम करो. So it's revision time. I should have done it yesterday, but I lazed around as the weather was very moody to be lazy. But I shouldn't have. So we will try to have a full revision from where we started and where we ended the day after the day yesterday. परसों क्या कहेंगे पीछे?
Day before yesterday.
Day before yesterday. I still don't remember everything. I have a good grasp on prehistory, Sindhu Saraswati civilization, but after modern, post-modern, my knowledge, mostly the names and events occurred in line sometimes. After postmodern, it is very disheveled. So let's try to revise, then take help of some AI tools to revise through flashcards and quizzes. First, we will go through all my short notes of it and discuss how the events went through from time to time. I will try to speak mostly from my memory, but where I lack the information or maybe don't remember, then I will take the help of these notes. So we start from Paleolithic age. So Paleolithic age started 6 lakh years ago, 6 lakh BCE, to it remained till 10,000 BCE. We see Paleolithic age is also divided into three sections. One is Lower Paleolithic, Middle Paleolithic, and Upper Paleolithic. In Lower Paleolithic, we see two types of tradition of stone tool making. One is Acheulean, other is Sohanian. Sohanian name comes from river Sohan, and Acheulean tradition is from South India, and Sohanian tradition is from North India. Sohanian tradition has chopping tools and choppers. Acheulean tradition has cleavers and hand axe. Hand axe was found from Pallavaram, and cleaver was found from Attipakam. Yes. We also, the chief architect of this and also Middle Paleolithic age is Homo erectus, and Robert Brucefoot was the one to find the Acheulean tradition in South India. The tools he found there in 1863. In 1863. After that, we come into Middle Paleolithic age, in which we there is a professor called H.T. Sankalia who found small stone tools, evidence of small stone tools. He also found Narmada man, a skull which was very similar to human structure, human figure. So he was called a Narmada man, but it is not sure he was a human or not. And what Pravara river, Narmada man. We also find flake industry here. Okay. Then we come to Upper Paleolithic age. In Upper Paleolithic age, we see that the climate from Pleistocene, which is cold weather, started to turn into warm weather, which is Holocene, and that is why people which were previously living in cave came out and started to live out. हाँ,
वन को परफेक्ट स्क्वायर कहाँ जाएगा?
वन का परफेक्ट स्क्वायर, हाँ मैं सब सिखाई जाएगा. वन का वन तो आता है,
तो फिर मैं इसे वन से डिवाइड कर सकता हूँ.
वन को वन से डिवाइड करे तो वन नहीं आएगा.
35 से डिवाइड कर सकता हूँ.
वन को 35 से,
नहीं 35 को
35 से तो वन ही आएगा. तो उसमें आएगा
फिर परफेक्ट स्क्वायर होगा और उसका स्क्वायर रूट भी 1 ही है.
What is the least number What is the least number should 35 divided so that the quotient is a perfect square? Quotient क्या है?
क्वेश्चन
क्वेश्चन क्या होता है? जो रिमेनिंग पार्ट होता है,
नहीं
जो ऊपर आता है.
हाँ
तो हाँ, तो और भी तो ट्राई कर, एक ही से हो जाएगा क्या?
5 मैंने ट्राई करा 7 आया 7 से ट्राई करा 5
तो पता ही
और
होगा.
फिर आगे का अभी तो मेरे को लग नहीं रहा है।
परफेक्ट. फाइंड कहाँ गए क्वेश्चन, कहाँ गए? फाइंड द स्क्वायर रूट. The question so obtained is the perfect divided so that the question is a perfect square. तो फिर वही होगा, वो नहीं आएगा. So in Upper Paleolithic age we see that there is some evidences of paintings we found in from Bhimbetka region in Madhya Pradesh, in which we mainly see normal household chores were depicted, women and children were depicted there, daily life of a person was depicted there, human and human activities, geometrical shapes were there, and due to warm weather, surplus of food, they get to store more food. In Upper Paleolithic age we also see that Homo sapiens were the main architect of this period, who had around 1200 CE. Sorry, 1200 CE, not 1200 CC. Then after Paleolithic age we start to after that came Mesolithic age from 10,000 BCE to 6,000 BCE, and in Mesolithic age we have there is two scholars. One is Vakankar. Vakankar tells us about two things, that the paintings found in Bhimbetka region of Madhya Pradesh are from Upper Paleolithic to Mesolithic age, and then there is Archibald, who found rock paintings in the region of Lakhudiyar and Adamgarh. There are other sites of Mesolithic age like Mahadaha, where man's and woman's body was buried together, and woman's body had ivory ornaments on her. Then we also see domesticization, use of fire to cook food. Keep to open was ho gaya tha. Then we in paintings we also see wash technique was used. In a painting in Rudragiri. Chopani Mando I forgot, Damdama I forgot, Vindhyan region. Chopani Mando, Damdama and Vindhyan region. Chopani Mando, Damdama and Vindhyan region. Chopani Mando is also the place where the oldest evidence of pottery was found in 6500 BCE. After that came Neolithic age. From 6000 BCE to 4000 BCE. John Lubbock was the one to coined the term Neolithic. After we see Gordon, Child was the one who termed Neolithic revolution due to the many changes happened in Neolithic age. We see oldest evidence of agriculture found here from Jericho, Jordan, from Kataltryuk, Turkey, Tepe-Guran, Iran, from 8000 to 6000 BCE. The oldest evidence of agriculture in India is found in Mehergarh, Bolan Valley of Pakistan. There are other sites of Neolithic age such as Dojali Hading in Assam, Burjahom in Kashmir, Chirand and Senwar in Bihar, and Gulfkira in Kashmir, Utnur, Payampalli, Koopagal, Takalkota in south. We see also the establishment of permanent villages and permanent settlements around this time. After that, we see Chalcolithic age came on. Chalcolithic age, people discovered the science of metallurgy and started to make from copper alloy from two different metals, and used. We also see different culture in this time: Ahar culture, Ganeshwar culture, Amri culture, Kot Digi culture. Village based communities were shown here. Agriculture and animal rearing was also shown here. Art of textile was also shown here from spindle whorls. Microliths were also found. From Chalcolithic age, we see that these Chalcolithic people later on became early Harappans in 3000 BCE, and 2800 BCE we see that they turn into sorry, I reversed the name. In 3000 BCE, we see Chalcolithic people slowly became into pre-Harappans, and then we see in 2800 BCE these people turn into early Harappans, and from 2600 BCE to 1900 BCE we see they were the mature Harappans, and in from 1900 to 1700 we see decline of the Harappans, and after 200 years of gap we see in 1500 Aryans came into India from Iran and Persia. So Harappa, which was found at river Ravi by Wheeler, and Dayaram Sahani, by Wheeler and Dayaram Sahani in 1921, and Mohenjo-daro, which was found at near river Indus, was found by John Marshall and R.D. Banerjee in 1922. Harappa was a type site, which means it was the first site to be discovered. There were around 10,022 sites in Harappan civilization, and 622 sites were in India. Rakhigadi, which is the biggest site in the Harappan civilization, is in India, Hisar, Haryana. There were three big reasons why Harappan civilization was so great, became this known civilization. The first reason is the connection of villages to the main centers or the main capital. For example, we see Kalibangan, where we find the evidence of furrowed land and agriculture, and we see Nageshwar and Balakot. Let me see if I am correct or not. Bahawalpur and Balakot, where we found evidences of terracotta plough. And then we see second reason is the connection of manufacturing centers to the main centers, where we see Nageshwar. Nageshwar and Balakot were the sites where shells were produced, sorry, not produced but found, and they later traded it to another manufacturing site, which is what was the name? Chanhu Daro, where bead industry was there, so these shell was used to make the beads. After this, we see the third main reason is the connection of Harappan civilization to the foreign civilizations, foreign civilization kingdoms, places like Mycenaria, Sumerian, Mycenian, Egyptian, Mesopotamian, and from Mesopotamia we find the some evidence which tells us that they called us Meluha, people of Meluha, or it was name given to the port which was near, or people near the port area in Gujarat. We see Lothal. Lothal is a dockyard in Gujarat, or served as a trade seaport. We see Dancing Girl, which was found in Mohenjo-daro. We see seals and other things found in Harappa. We see reservoir found in Dholavira. And Dholavira, we also see three levels of structure found there. Three levels of city planning was found there, rather than two levels, which was common in Harappan civilization. In this three level, we see first citadels, Great Bath, which was the first level. Second level was middle town, where traders and merchants were there. Then the lower town, where slaves or workers, lowly workers, or people who worked menial jobs lived there. So we see social inequality in the Harappan civilization, but we don't see caste discrimination, varna based discrimination, that type of discrimination, birth based discrimination. There is a social inequality there based on economic factors. Libangan, we found textile like cotton there. We also found ornaments of gold also there, chain mails used for fighting. No, that was for Vedic Aryans. We don't find much of evidences that they fought with each other, because they were mainly traders and merchants. And we also see that the main ruling class of the people of this civilization is Purohits, which is priests and merchants. We also see Mother Goddess was found in Neolithic age also, made of terracotta, and also in Harappan civilization, which can lead to later to Shakti cult in present time, or also in the Gupta and Maurya period. We see, what else we see here? Goddess. We also see that slaves were there, barter system was also there. Slaves were there, barter system was in use, no coins were used at that time. We see that women had a respectable position at this in this civilization. Lord Shiva and God Pashupati, Proto Shiva's uh, seal was found. And irrigation, we find irrigation is very different here. Canal irrigation was only found. The evidence of canal irrigation was only found in Shortugai of Afghanistan, but mainly we used well-based system for irrigation. Agni Vedika was used to perform rituals and sacrifices, maybe, and places for that was Kalibangan, Banavali, and Lothal. Takadi West Side sold by Mohenjo-daro. Then we see decline of Harappa. We see different reasons for their decline. First was flooding and fire. Flooding and fire. Main flooding was the reason for destruction of Mohenjo-daro and Chanhu-daro. Then dryness of rivers for Rakhigadi and Kalibangan. And other reasons were climate change, diversion in the course of rivers, decline in trade, and then there is Aryan invasion theory, which was not supported by scholars, as there we see 200 years of gap between the incoming of Aryans and the decline of Harappans, so it doesn't make sense. After this, in 1500 BCE, we see Aryan entering the India and start of Vedic culture there, Vedic age there. Aryans were from parts of Persia and Iran, which was part of Persia at that time. So they were mainly from Persia, and they from there uh, took a book, take their culture and made it till here, and we see that in practice till now. So we found a book named Zend-Avesta, in which is of Zoroastrianism, which has a very similar gods very similar practices, rituals to Sanatan religion. And we see that this Zoroastrianism is what the cornerstone or keystone of the making of Sanatan Dharma. Kasite, Iraq, Mitani, Syria, Bhagos, Khoi, Turkey were the places where similar gods like Indra, Vishnu, Indra, Varuna, Mitra, Nasatya were found in their inscriptions. Then we see Shruti culture, Shruti literature, which was that rote learning of telling people mouth verbatim, learning verbatim only. Rivers in Vedic culture, their name Satluj was known as Shatudri, Bias was known as Vipasha, Gagar Hakara, Saraswati, ancient Saraswati was known as Gagar Hakara. Then there is Jhelum, Vitasta, Indus, Sindhu, Chenab, Askini, Ravi, Parushni, where Battle of 10 Kings happened, written in 10th mandala of Rig Veda, in which King Puru with 10 kings fought with not 10th mandala, sorry, 7th mandala. So King Puru with 10th मंडला ही है. अच्छा दो चीज़ें बताई जा सकती हैं. हाँ, तो 10th मंडला ऑफ ऋग्वेदा में बैटल ऑफ 10 किंग्स इन विच वी सी पुरु वर्सेस भरत, and they later merged together and made Kuru clan. We also see mention of Varna based, which was on occupation based, Varna based culture here. Varna based Varna based system, which at that time was occupation based, in Rigveda 10th mandala. Then we see a text, Satpatha Brahman in King Videha. King Videha took god Agni and conquered north region of India and called it Aryavarth. Magadananga hated Aryans because of their Vedic culture and because they had differences of opinions and beliefs. Women also enjoyed good position in early Vedic culture, early Vedic age. We see scholars like Apala, Vishwashwara, Gosha, Viruchi, who contributed in Vedic hymns. We also see Varna Ashram system here, in which there are four things to do: Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Varna Prasth, and Sannyasin. Upanan ceremony, which was in later Vedic age, we see different practices were followed, like Upanan ceremony, which was only allowed to upper three Varnas, in which they dharan Janeyu, and this ritual Yajnopavita was done. Third mandala in Rigveda also tells us about Gayatri Mantra, which is in praise of God's Son, written by Rishi Vashishta, which was debarred to be spoken by women and Shudras. They were debarred from it. And in later Vedic age, we also see that there was a rigid culture in later Vedic, but still we see Gayatri, Gargi and Maitri, which were women scholars who contributed to Upanishads. We see different yajnas that were yajnas that were done by kings to to show their authority and power. First was Ashwamedh Yajna, second was Vajpayee Yajna, and in Vajpayee Yajna it is a battle between chariots. Rajasya Yajna, in this uh, the king does the yajna and shows authority and power, and also visit his mantrins to have a cordial relationship with them. To have a cordial relationship with them. Yes, so we have seen four type of yagnas. Fourth yajna was Agnihotra yajna, in which it was offertorial type of yajna, offertorial and maybe sacrifices were there. In early Vedic, we don't see sacrifices happening, but in later Vedic, sacrifices become a main part of the rituals that were happening, and it created it led to importance of Brahmins also. We also saw Agni Vedika were done in different types of uh, shapes. One was Grahapatya in circular shape for householder or Yajmana, which the one who is performing the yajna. Then Havanya yajna, which was in square shape for offertorial fire pit for prosperity of tribe. Then we see Dakshinagam yajna, which is in crescent shape for the peace and moksha of the ancestors. In early Vedic, we see the people were mainly pastoral. Milk and milk products were used. Crops like Yava and Yadhuma were used. Pottery like black red ware pottery was used. We also see ayas, which is bronze or copper. In post-Vedic, people mainly become agriculturists as they permanently settle down. We see crops like which is rice or paddy. Yajur and Atharvaved, we see mention of iron, which is Ayas, Krishna Ayas or Krishna Ayas, Krishna Ayas, Krishna Ayas or Sham Ayas. This led to the catalyst as a catalyst for the second urbanization. There were other reasons also, but iron helped to make iron tools, which led to in more agriculture as they cut down forests to include those land into for agriculture practices, and this led to the second urbanization, surplus of food and other things. Potteries like red ware, black red ware, painted grey ware, black red ware, black strip ware were used. Red ware was the most popular one, but painted grey ware was the most distinct one at that time. We find the evidences of these potteries from Videha, Kosala, Ahichatra, Kurukshetra, Atran, Jikhera, Hastinapur. Early Vedic. Now we come to types of religion and their practices in early Vedic and post Vedic. In early Vedic, we see they mainly worshipped natural forces like wind, water, sun, fire. In later Vedic, we see they personify. No, in early Vedic, they personified them to
वर्मी कंपोस्टिंग का क्या मतलब होता है?
वर्मिन्स टाइप ऑफ वो होते हैं, क्या कहते हैं, इंसेक्ट, उनको यूज़ करा जाता है कंपोस्टिंग के लिए, वो हेल्प करते हैं उसमें. They personified these natural forces and called them Varuna, Indra, Agni, Usha. Indra was considered the most powerful one and given different names for his different characteristics. In Zendavesta, we see Ahura Mazda was the name given to him, and we also see names like Purandar, which is destroyer of enemies, Maghavan, bounteous one, Vritrahan, which is a killer of enemies. In later Vedic, we see gods like Brahma, Prajapati, Shiva, Vishnu came into being. We see animal sacrifices came into being. We see a fight between spiritualism and ostentations of Upanishads came into being. Upanishads were around 108 Upanishads that were made. They were complex and answered complex questions like life after death and touched metaphysical question. Some of the example is Mundak Upanishad, from which we get Satyameva Jayate, part of Indian national emblem. Maha Upanishad, which tells us about Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, that world is a one family. Then in Kathopanishad we see mention of yoga, concept of soul and God, and what happens to soul after death, which was told by a story from perspective of Nachiketa and Yama. Then in Chandogya Upanishad we also see inquiry on soul by Udalak Aruni and Shwetaketu. We also see Ayurveda, which is mentioned in Atharva Veda also. In post-Vedic society, which is from 600 to 300 BCE, we see heterodox Buddhist sects emerged due to unrest in religious affairs of that time, where the sources for this are Buddhist texts like Anguttara Nikaya Mahavastu, Jaina texts like Bhagavati Sutra, and from this we get the knowledge of 16 Mahajanpadas that were at that time, and the main one were Magad, Anga, Kosala, Avanti, Vajjis, which were federation. There were two types of Mahajanpadas. One was of Gansanghas, one was of monarchy. Gansanghas were made of is like a confederacy in which clans merge together and take care of things. But in monarchy there is a one person at top, and he takes mostly all the decision with help of his advice of his officials. We see powerful Vajji clans also. Most powerful was Vajjis at that time, and it was a amalgamation of 8 clans. Like for example, to list down all the 8 names were Vajji, Kauravas, Lichavis, Jatrikas, Videha, Ugras, Bhogas, Akshavakas. This information came from a Buddhist text known as Sumgal Vilasani by Buddha. Then in Mahajanpada and Gansanghas. In Mahajanpadas we see that what was the reason that the monarchical kingdoms were more powerful than Gansanghas or confederacies. These republic confederacies was because they exploited resources to their maximum. They brought more land into agriculture, and which led to surplus of food, which led to taxation on that, and they also promoted trade and commerce, which led to bigger trade surplus, and which led to taxes on them or custom duty on trade happening between two states. We see also their army was strong because they let commoners join their army. It was not just based on Varna. They let commoners join their army. We see use of coin as a currency, as a means to purchasing and borrowing power. Panchtamak coins were first seen in Mahajan in these times. We see Ghapatis, which were mainly rich farmers or rich traders, which became economic householders of these monarchical kingdoms. What other advantage we can see is a geographical advantage. They had a very protective landscape to them, like Rajgir, which was surrounded by 5 hills, and it was basically impenetrable for other enemies to penetrate through it. We see strategic location. We see fertile alluvial land at north, where they had heavy rainfall, as Magad region was mainly Bihar at that time, and Bihar had good rivers, heavy rainfall, so it helped in food surplus, which led to taxation. Then we see capital like Patliputra, which is current Patna, where there is a Jal Durga, water fortress, which is hard to attack. We see there is a confluence of four rivers which helped in trade also, as these rivers were becoming helping in transportation of goods. Four rivers were like Ganga, Gandak, Soma, Punpun. Political reasons were that they had good and powerful rulers, good in sense that they did what was necessary for the kingdom to rise. For example, Bimbisara and Ajatashatru. They both belonged to. They both belonged to. Let me see. They both belonged to which? Bimbisara and. Let me see where they belonged. अरे ये तो दूसरी है.
भैया
बोलो.
पहले इरिगेशन करनी चाहिए या मैन्योरिंग?
मैन्योरिंग. मम्मी भी जब भी देखोगे वो प्लांट को सो करती हैं, फिर कोई नया प्लांट लगाती है उससे पहले वो उसमें मैन्योर डालती हैं, फर्टिलाइजर्स डालती हैं कि अर्ली ग्रोथ तो हो. पानी तो लेटर स्टेज है विच विल हेल्प हिम टू मेक फूड, बट अर्ली ग्रोथ के लिए उसे पहले से ही खाना चाहिए ना. उसके लिए इरिगेशन तो तब भी होगी, उस टाइम पे भी मम्मी करती है इरिगेशन, पर पहले उसे हम देखते हैं कि मैन्योर डाला जाता है. बट मेरे हिसाब से एक साइमल्टेनियस वो ही है, क्योंकि मैं गांव में देख रहा था बड़े पापा क्या कर रहे थे, वो मैन्योर भी अप्लाई कर रहे थे, इरिगेशन भी कर रहे थे. आई थिंक इट इज़ अ साइमल्टेनियस वो थिंग, बट मैन्योरिंग कम्स फर्स्ट, फर्टिलाइजर इज प्रोवाइडेड फर्स्ट. न्यूट्रिशन होगा ही नहीं तो फिर पानी डाल के फ़ायदा क्या. What does water helps them to acquire nutrient also, but their main aim is to help them to make food. But food से पहले भी तो न्यूट्रिएंट होना चाहिए उनके अंदर. फूड तभी तो प्रोवाइड होगा जब बच्चा पैदा होता है, तो न्यूट्रिएंट उसको माँ से खाना मिलता रहता है. उसका मेन तब भी न्यूट्रिएंट इन अर्ली स्टेजेस मैन्योर उसका वही होता है, मिल्क, बट इन लेटर स्टेज दैट ही कैन देन टेक फूड. इसलिए मैन्योर मेरे हिसाब से हम पूरा हर टाइम नहीं डालते, शुरुआत में ही डालते हैं सिर्फ, बट इरिगेशन लॉन्ग टाइम तक चलता है. आई कैन बी रॉन्ग, बाद में सर्च करना. हाँ तो वी वर सो वी वर बिम्बिसारा एंड अजातशत्रु. हाँ, आई वॉज चेकिंग फ्रॉम विच डायनेस्टी दे बिलोंग्ड. They belonged to कहाँ चले गए किंगडम मोनार्की. कहाँ गए बिम्बी बेटा, कहाँ हो बिम्बी बेटा. हरियंका डायनेस्टी. They belong to हरियंका डायनेस्टी. Let me write it down here. हरियंका डायनेस्टी. So Bimbisara and Ajatashatru belong to Hariyanka dynasty. Bimbisara was the founder of it, main founder of it, and Bimbisara was the one to adopt the policy of expansionism and conquest. Policy of annexation and conquest, which is basically policy of expansionism. So he adopted three policies which led to the rise of Magad. First is policy of annexation and conquest. Second is policy of matrimonial alliance. Third is policy of diplomacy. In policy of annexation, we see he conquered Anga and made it part of Magad. Then in policy of policy of matrimonial alliance, we see he married four different princes from four different areas to acquire some power. Uh, of those, three of them were Kosala, Saraswati from Kosala, and in dowry he got Kashi. Then we see princes of Lichavis, which meant coordinate relationship with Lichavis, and then Madra clan of Punjab. These were the three matrimonial alliances that there were four, but I mentioned only three. Then we see policy of diplomacy, in which he made two friends. One was Pukushati, and Bimbisara helped him to meet Buddha, and Pradyut, Avanti's king Pradyut. Pukushati was of Kandhara, and Avanti king Pradyut, which helped, who was suffering from, I think, jaundice, and Bimbisara sent his personal physician to him for his treatment. So he, through this diplomacy, he maintained good and cordial relationship with both of them. After that, we see Ajatashatru, who is son of Bimbisara, and he adopted policy of aggressive expansionism, in which at first, as he did patricide, he killed his father for throne. So we see, in that shock his mother also died, due to which the Kosalan prince took back the dowry of Kashi, which made Ajatashatru little angry, and he attacked Kosalan, and he also annexed Kashi and Kosala both. We he one of the He also defeated Vajjis after 16 years of long drawn war, in which he was indirectly helped by Buddha, and also helped by his minister Vasakara, Patligram, Patliputra. Then his successors like Shishunag and Mahapadmananda. Shishunag captured Avanti of Ujjain, and Mahapadmananda captured Kalinga of Odisha. We also see that he was the first, Magad was the first one to use elephants in the war, which shocked or surprised, flabbergasted many of his enemies. Also, coins were used at that time. Social religious help like Buddhism helped, and unorthodox character of Magad also helped. Then we see rise of heterodox sectors in 6th century CE. First, we talk about Buddhism. In Buddhism, we talk about, there were a lot of things first. There were 62 texts that were found in Buddhism, and 363 texts found in Jainism. Three main sects that emerged at that time was Buddhism, Jainism, and Ajivikism. We see a clash between Shramana culture, which is ascetic culture, and Brahmana culture or Vedic culture. Why there was a rise of these sects? It was due to the unrest in religious hemisphere due to Brahmins. As the first reason is Brahman domination in all spheres of life. They were having all the power they needed. They had a monopoly on education, they had monopoly on power, wealth, land, with Kshatris, as they both had a alliance between them, and they both acquired these powers, and they took the Vaishya class and Shudra class as their serving. They treated Shudras as slaves, and Vaishyas as just lowly people. But Vaishya, the second reason also we see economic reason, as Vaishyas, due to trade and commerce, we see they were rising in their they were rising in their economic class. They were good in their economic hemisphere, but Brahmins were not letting them through in the rise of social class, which led to them feeling that they needed a new religion that valued them, or maybe that vibed with them in a sense. So we see, as many of them became follower of, that is why they became followers of Buddhism and Jainism. Then also farmers were, third in, farmers were very angry as there was a animal sacrifice became a main part of Vedic Vedic culture. Sorry, of Brahm. Yes, Vedic culture, Dharma, Sanatan Dharma, and it led to, as animals were wealth at that time, and their death and their sacrifice led to many economic frustration to farmers and many other things. Mm, Also, fourth reason was due to economic reason again, was that Brahmins, not in Brahma Shastra, it was written that it disapproved of lending and borrowing, which was a necessary part of trade. So it didn't do it, sit well with Vaishya class or merchant class. Then we go into then we go into Buddhism and see birth of Buddha in 583 BCE, 563 BCE. Sorry, 563 BCE. In 563 BCE, he was born, and which was known as birth of Buddha. We see it was found from Jataka text that he was born in Lumbini in Sakya clan to Sudhod and Mahanaya. Sudhod and Mahanaya, divine white elephant from dream of Sudhod. Rishi Kondilya told the prophecy. Yashodhara was his wife at 16 years and Rahul his son, which he abandoned after. We will talk about it. Then at age of 29 years, we see he saw four great sights of dead man, sickly man, dead man, sick man, ascetic, ascetic and old man. In Buddhism, after that we see Mahabhinishkramanam, Mahabhinishkramana, which is great renunciation, in which he left his home for the search of truth, and he had two teachers, Ramapath and Alora Kalam. Alora Kalam taught him deep meditation, and Ramapath, or you can say Udaka, taught him philosophy of life, but he was not satisfied with their teachings, and he did his own thing, in which without eating he did a deep meditation under a tree, which later known as Bodhi tree, and then he found Nirvana there at the age of 35 years old. There is a story in which we see that Devan Mara came there to disrupt his meditation, but Buddha making Bhumisparsha Mudra, in which he pointed four fingers to the ground, and which meant that the earth should be the witness to his sacrifice or to his resolve. It was a people tree near a river Niranjana. Also see Dharma Chakra Parivartan, which is setting in wheel of time. Madhyam Marg, we see teachings like, after this there were teachings like Madhyam Marg, Ashtangik Marg. Madhyam Marg is middle path, in which you shouldn't go into extremities of anything, and should be remain in middle, be calm and composed. And then we see Ashtangik Marg, which is right speech, right action, right words, right speech, right action, right words, right effort, right mindset, right mindfulness, right mindfulness, and there were other things that I'm forgetting. Right livelihood. क्या कर रहे हो?
वो चले किनारे किनारे वो गंदा सा साहब जी अरे है ना आप जहाँ पे ना.
हाँ. After this we see Mahaparinirvana, in which Buddha died in 483 BCE. आलू ले आना.
मैंने बोला वो खा लिया
तो और क्या है?
इडली का परसों शाम और तो सब है सूजी वूजी
परसों की बनानी इडली?
सब्जी तो मेरी
तुम्हारी आज़ादी पहले हो रही है।
और क्या मैं बनाऊँ
नहीं बनाओ, मैंने कम बना कर, मैं तो अपना पेट फाड़ने के लिए हमेशा तैयार रहता हूँ।
सूजी मैं ले आई थी सूजी तो है ही बस सब्जी लाना
सब्जी
था
चाहिए,
तो घर में है
सब्जी भी आई चाहिए 100-200।
सब्जी वही सब एक एक पाव ले आऊँगी बाद का भी होगा आलू ले आऊँगी तो
आलू तो तुम्हें पता ही है।
पता उस दिन मैंने 200 मांगा जाके क्षमा करने का हाँ करे बनवा लो है ना जाके लोगों को पैसा दे है नहीं तो कम से कम 500 तो दे सब्जी का बताओ पौवा पीने का है इनको
After we see fourth Buddhist council that happened, happened right after his death, which is in 483 BCE in Rajgir. Patronage was given by Ajatashatru, and president was Mahakashyapa. In second Buddhist council, we see which happened in Vaishali, Bihar. The patronage was given by Kalashoka of Shishunag dynasty. Kalashoka of Shishunag dynasty. President was Sabkami, and in this we see bifurcation to two sects. One was Mahasangika, one was Swatantarvadins. Sthaviravadins, in which they believed in teachings of old monks, for example Amanda, Ananda, Upali, Sariput, Mogala, Atsavajit. In Mahasangika, we see they followed the teachings of Mahakashyap, who was the president of First Council, and they also believed that Buddha was a god. They wanted to declare that. In Third Council, which happened in Second Council happened in 383 BCE. Third Council happened in 250 BCE, in which it happened in Patlipatra, and patronage was given by Mauryan king Ashoka, and also Mogaliput was the president. There we see emergence of Kathamathu, which explains about Abhiman Pitaka. We also see Emperor Ashoka, how he contributed to Buddhist religion, as he sent his son Mahinda and Sanghamitra to Shillong and to convince them to tell them about Buddhism, and later all the people of Shillong was converted by the Shillong king. In fourth Buddhist council, which is last Buddhist council we see happened in 72 CE, and here we see it was happened in Kundaham, Kashmir, The patronage was given by Kanishk, Kusana ruler, and Vashumitra was the president of this. They declared Buddha as a god, and Kanishk also spread the religion worldwide as he uh, sent people to Central and West Asia, China, Afghanistan, Mongolia to tell them about Buddhism. And as we see, the Buddhism has reached many places and followed there. We also see bifurcation again in Mahayana and Hinayan Buddhism. In Mahayana Buddhism, we see that idol worship, rituals and sacrifices began, use of Sanskrit began, and bodhisattvas, concept of bodhisattvas began, and there were people like bodhisattvas like Padmapani, Manjushri, Vajrapani, and concept of Maitreya, in which Buddha will come again and save them. The concept of Prajna Paramita, which is a female deity essential for the nirvana. Kusana ruler, North India, Avadhan literature, they promoted Avadhan literature like Ashokavadan and Divyavadan. In Hinayan, we see they were following core principle of Buddhism. They tend to worship of idols and they do rituals. They were also divided into three sects, and like Sarvastivadins, Samityas, Swatantrikas. Sarvastivadins tells us about how they believe that Buddha will come to their rescue. In Swatantrikas, we see they believed in life after death, which Buddha didn't believe. And Samityas rejected the theory, the doctrine of soullessness of Buddha. They believed there exists a soul. So mainly they rejected all of Buddha's principle and still called them Buddhist, themselves Buddhist. After that, we see decline of Buddhism in 12th century CE. There were many reasons. First was division into many sects. Then we see loss of patronage after Gupta period, loss of royal patronage. Third, Bhakti movement started. Fourth, there were attacks on them. There were many reasons. Fourth were use of Sanskrit instead of common language like Prakrit and Pali. Fifth was that the rules and regulations of the monasteries were not being followed, and sixth was that they were getting attacked by other, like for example Shishunag, Pushyamitra Sunga attacked Kukut. Pushyamitra Sunga attacked Kukut ashram and killed many monks there. Shashank and Mihir Shashank and Mihir killed many Buddhists, many monks, and Shashank also cut down the original Bodhi tree in Bodh Gaya. We see Turkish invasions and destruction of Nalanda by Bakhtiyar Khilji in 12th century 1197 BCE, in 1197 BC, not BC, CE. After that, we see Jainisms also. We see Jainisms emerged in Vedic age, but it got popularity in 6th century BCE, and the last and 24th Tirthankar Mahavir, Vardhaman Mahavir, was the one who founded this religion, and with the help of his predecessor, whose name was Parshavnath, who was 23rd Tirthankar. He joined at the age of 30 Nirgranth order, which was of Parshavnath, and there he became friend with Gosala Makhaliputra, who founded Ajvikism. Believed in determined destiny, but Mahavir believed that everyone can change their destiny by their good karma. He also said that we need to destroy our karma or deeds to have Jina. Jina is nirvana in their sense. We see Tirthankar were great leaders and people who can teach the teachings of Jainism to lay followers. They were also who achieved Kaivalya. They were Arihant also. Arihant who achieved Kaivalya. Kaivalya is containment of desires. We also see titles like Nirgranth Nathaput was given to Mahavir as he was a rigid ascetic who didn't wear clothes also. So he was known as shedder of all desires, Nirgranth Nathaput. Mahavir also believed in natural law which created this universe as a reason to create which was the reason to create for the creation of this universe. Attained Kaivalya at 13 years under salt river Rijupalika. Farmland Samaga. Basadis were made, which were monasteries. At age 72 years, we see he committed Salilekha, which is self-starvation to death. Parshanath, we see there were four cardinal principle of Parshvanath. First was truth, second was non-violence, third was non-possession, and fourth was not to take anything which was not given to you voluntarily. And fifth was added by Mahavir, and which is celibacy, and this became five cardinal principles of Jainism. We also see three Ratnas to destroy all the past karmas of one's life, which were Samyak Darshan, Samyak Gun, Samyak Darshan, Samyak Gun, Samyak Charitra, Samyak Gan, sorry. But we see Mahavir also didn't follow all of it, as he lived a grihastha life. He had a wife, he had a daughter, he enjoyed some desires of his life, but he in the end shed all of them. So we can see he followed them. But we see that there is a little hypocrisy there. After that, we see that there are 24 Tirthankars, 12 Chakravarti Rajas, and 63 Salak Purusha and Kalpavriksha, which was believed by Jainas. There were other schools in Jainism like Anekadvad, Syadvad. Anekadvad means multifold reality, multifold nature of reality, and Syadvad is theory of maybe this, maybe that. We see 12 Purvas were made after the death of Mahavira. These are the teachings of Mahavira, 12 Purvas of them, and it later divided into 12 Angas and 12 Upangas. One of the main followers of Jainism was Emperor Ashoka, and after his retirement and his migration to Sarvana Belagola in Mysore, we see bifurcation again, bifurcation in Jainism. One in Digambar and Sutambar. Sutambar were sky-clad monks, and Digambars were white-clad monks. Digambars were very rigid in their practice. They also didn't allow women, and they believed that the 19th Tirthankar, Mallinath, was a man. Bhadrabahu was also Digambara, which meant that Ashoka was also Digambara, as Ashoka followed Bhadrabahu. Bhadrabahu was the one. Jhadu and Lota were the only things that allowed to Digambar monks. Then we see sky-clad monks, Shwetambar monks, who were not that rich. They wore white dress. They sometimes also allowed what you say Bali. I don't know what Bali is called in English, but Bali. And they believe that 19th Tirthankar was Mallinath was a woman, and they also believed that women can achieve moksha. Digambar believed that woman can only achieve moksha when she is again reborn as a man. But Shwetambar believed that women can achieve moksha, and that is why they had a rise of popularism in South India. And we see a sect called Yapniya sect emerged there by Kalasa in Kalyan Nagar, Karnataka, which also practiced which also practiced Tantrika. Thankara. We also see other sects. One sect also emerged after rise of Islam in India, as idol worship was not allowed, and Digambar and Shwetambar both did idol worship. So Islam didn't have idol worship, and from that a new idea came in Jainism, and it was Sthanakvasi who didn't worship idol worship, who didn't do idol worship in medieval period. Idol worship, Mathura was the main place where these things were produced, these images were produced through different school of arts like Mathura School of Art, Gandhara School of Art, Amravati School of Art. Panini authored Ashtadhyani, first text on Sanskrit grammar. We only were able to revise 3 pages, and still I don't remember everything in it. We are left with 4 and 5 pages to revise more. We will stop here and do some quizzes and flashcard things to see how much we have remembered. I believe that we have time, so we can do it, because I tell I have to do other things, because Saturday and Sunday is little bit busy due to other things, so I can't study much for like till the end of and the start of March. For March, yes. We have time. So let's start with configure notebook, delete chat history. अभी तो delete chat history. अभी कुछ खास इधर हुआ नहीं. Studio. Let's start with prehistory. Who was the first scholar to discover hand axes from Robert Bruce Wood? We didn't check. Robert Bruce Wood. What type of stone tools were discovered by Robert Bruce Wood? Hand axe and cleavers. The style of stone tools found in South India during the lower Paleolithic age, such as hand axes and cleavers, is classification under Acheulean tradition. Northwest India, a stone tool culture known for producing choppers and chopping tools, Sohanian tradition. Who is the approximate time period for the lower What is the approximate time for period of lower Paleolithic age in India? Approximate time, which will be around 6 lakh BC to 4 lakh BC. 6 lakh, no, I'm wrong. 6 lakh to 6 lakh BC to 1 lakh 50,000 BC. Okay. When hominid species was the chief architect of the lower Homo erectus. According to the source material, the Suhani and Achurial traditions are not considered different because dash tools are used. Achurian traditions are not considered Suhani and Achurian traditions are not considered different because dash tools are used. According to source material, the Suhanian and Achurian traditions are not considered different because dash tools are used in both sides, tool sides. I mean, the choppers tools were found, the similar tools were found at both sides. Suhanian tools, Suhani tools were also found in the Acheulean tradition. The prehistory of India is traced from the lower Paleolithic age, which is said to have started some lower Paleolithic 6 lakh years ago. 20 lakh 2 million, which is the approximate time period of the middle Paleolithic age, 1,50,000 to 40, 1,50,000 to 35. During the middle Paleolithic age, the lithic stone culture spread towards which part of India? Huh? During the middle Paleolithic age, the lithic lithic stone culture spread towards which part of India? Lithic north, central India. Okay. Scholar H.D. Sankalia discovered various middle Paleolithic stone tools on the bank of river. This is Pravara river, which is tributary of Narmada. Which is the name? What is the name given by Indian scholars to the earliest human-like fossils? Narmada man. Despite the start of Middle Paleolithic age, which hominid species remained the chief architect of the period? Middle Paleolithic, Homo erectus. Which region of India was the flake industry making tools developed during Middle Paleolithic? Which region of India? In which region? ये ना कौन से region में था flake industry? I don't know. Central India. Okay. What is the approximate time of period for the upper Paleolithic age in India? Approximate time to 35,000 to 10,000. Good, I was right. Who was the chief architect of Upper Paleolithic? Homo sapiens, which has 1200 cc of brain power. During the Upper Paleolithic age, the geological era of Pleistocene changed to what era? Holocene, which is warm. The melting of ice in the Upper Paleolithic period led to more exposure to edible items like fruit, small birds. It resulted in some dash of food for early humans. Surplus. Sorry, यहाँ पे check नहीं करेंगे. Surplus. The emergence of some surplus food in Upper Paleolithic was reflected in what artistic activity? Rock paintings, rock and cave paintings. What is an important site for Upper Paleolithic rock and cave paintings? Bhimbetek, MP. What major development concerning animals took place during Mesolithic era? What major development concerning animals took place during Mesolithic era? Domesticization. What new use of fire for food preparation is noted for the Mesolithic era? What new use of fire? Cooking, roasted food. The Mesolithic is characterized by some use of small stones and reside on geometric patterns such as lunate. Explained by use of small lithic triangle. Oh, wait, what was the question? Let me see. Lunate designed on geometric patterns. Oh, such as lunate, triangle, and circle. Okay, got it. In Mesolithic area, humans moved from cave dwelling towards open areas in what type of structures? What type of structures? Mud? Small huts. Okay. Which site in Uttar Pradesh has shown the earliest evidence of joint Mahadaha? Mahadara, Chopani Mando, Vindhyan region. These are all Mesolithic sites. Mahada, Adamgarh, Lakhudiyar. Am I forgetting something? Damdama. Who discovered the paintings of Bhimbetek and classified them as belonging to Upper Paleolithic and Mesolithic era? Who discovered the paintings of Bhimbetek? Vakankar. Vishnu S. Vakankar. V.S. Vakankar. Who was the first scholar to discover rock paintings? Archibald, Lakhudiyar, and Sodamgarh. आदमगढ़ लगा मुझे. आर्की आर्कीबाल्ड है, बोल्ड भी नहीं, आर्कीबाल्ड. लेट मी करेक्ट इट. कहाँ गया आर्कीबोल्डा बाल्डा? आर्कीबाल्ड कैरियाइल नहीं, कार्लाइल. Upper Paleolithic paintings were mainly known for drawings of human figures, human actions, what other types of designs, geometric designs. Mesolithic paintings had predominance of paint drawing depicting what scenes, hunting scenes. What did the depiction of men, women, and children together in Mesolithic paintings suggest the start of human relationship, a sort of family life? What is the name of paintings technique used in the Mesolithic wash type painting? Wash technique. The origin of painting as an art form is established in which prehistoric period? The origin of paintings form is established in which prehistoric period? Origin Upper Paleolithic. Mesolithic. Who coined the term Neolithic to describe Neolithic? Lubbock. John Lubbock. Who was the key characteristic of stone tools used in the first time in the Neolithic? Stone tools, microliths they were using. They were polished and chiseled. Yeah, they were polished and chiseled. Okay. In the Indian subcontinent, which site in the Bolan Valley of Baluch? Mehergarh. Oh, I know it, but I have to check. What are the main crops produced in Mehergarh? Wheat, barley, and cotton. Who termed the changes in the material culture during Neolithic age, Neolithic revolution? क्या नाम था? V. Gordon Child. The invention of dash in the Neolithic age. The invention of iron tools. Oh, मैंने पूरा क्वेश्चन पढ़ना चाहिए था. Production of their own force, agriculture. The invention of agriculture. ठीक है, got it. The surplus of food grains during the Neolithic is the use of what for storage? Surplus of food, pottery. हाँ सही बात है. हमारे पास अगर ज़्यादा खाना हो तो pottery बनी. Redware pottery. Black redware या redware? Which site known for producing the oldest evidence? Chupani Mando. What is the oldest Neolithic site of eastern India located in Assam? I don't know. Dojali Hoding. Which two sites are mentioned in Sinwar and Chirand and Sinwar? The Neolithic sites of Gulf Keral and Burzahom belong to which religion of India? Gulf Keral, ये तो कश्मीर है अपना. The Neolithic age laid the foundation for the emergence of the earliest agricultural societies and civilization through the establishment of large villages and what other key development? Metallurgy. Emergence of earliest agricultural societies and civilization through the establishment of large villages and what other key what other key development? Permanent settlement. Okay. Finished. ये हुआ एक प्री हिस्ट्री पे क्विज कर लेते हैं, फिर क्विज करते हैं, फिर ओपन करेंगे. सॉरी, कहाँ गया? सॉरी, पहले क्विज कर लेते हैं ना, एक एक करके निपटाते हैं. So quiz is here, prehistory. According to modern historical analysis presented the source material, what is the current understanding of the relation between the Sahanian and Acheulean tradition in the lower Paleolithic age? The Acheulean tradition evolved directly from the simplest Sahanian tradition after the migration of new homin groups into Sahan River. The Acheulean tradition evolved directly from simpler Sahanian tradition after migration of new homin groups. The Sahanian tradition was geographically confined to northwestern India, while the Acheulean tradition was found exclusively. The Sahanian tradition used pebble flake hand axe industry. The Swan and Achulita are no longer considered distinct because Achulita, the only well-known hominin fossil in India discovered at Hathnora, is identified by scholars as representing this species. Narmada man, मुझे इतना ही पता है. Narmada man, archaic Homo sapien. किधर discovered at Hathnora. Okay. The Upper Paleolithic period in India witnessed significant environmental and cultural transformation, which are the following: greater exposure of shift, the direct consequence of the climate shift from the Pleistocene era. First village based. No. Well, हाँ भी हो सकता है. डेवलपमेंट ऑफ पॉलिश एंड चिजल स्टोन, ये तो नीलिथिक है. अपर पैलियोथिक फिर मेसोलिथिक आएगा ना. ग्रेट एक्सपोजर टू लैंडस्केप डाइवर्सिफिकेशन ऑफ फूड सोर्सेज फॉर ह्यूमंस, ये हो सकता है. द वाइड स्केप अडॉप्शन ऑफ फ्लेक इंडस्ट्री. ये तो मिडल पैलियोथिक है. द डेवलपमेंट ऑफ पॉलिश, ये न्यूलिथिक है. द एमर्जेंस ऑफ फर्स्ट विलेज बेस्ड कम्युनिटीज, द फोकस ऑन एग्रीकल्चर, आई थिंक ये न्यूलिथिक एंड चारपलिथिक है. ग्रेटर एक्सपोजर. Who is credited with the first discovery of round paintings in Archibald Karail, Sodamgarh. What key development distinguishes the Mesolithic age from the preceding Paleolithic age, as evidenced by sites like Mahadaha in Uttar Pradesh? The emergence of signs of human relationship and language, exemplified by ritual burials. The term Neolithic Revolution was coined by V. Gordon Child based on source material. What was the primary reason for this reason? In material culture, genetic from the immersion of agriculture and permanent settlement. The rapid expansion of Neolithic communities across the first use of microliths Mesolithic में आ गए थे. More complex tools. The invention of polished stone tools which were far more effective. Polished tools होगा मेरे हिसाब से. हो गया ना correct? Go wrong. Not quite. हाँ तो ड्रामेटिक चेंजेस ही थे ना. ठीक है. रेवोल्यूशन का तो ये. द साइट ऑफ मेहरगढ़ इन बलूचिस्तान होल्ड अ यूनिक क्वेश्चन इन प्री हिस्ट्री ऑफ इंडियन. व्हाट इज द प्राइमरी सिग्निफिकेंस? ओल्डेस्ट साइट. एविडेंस फर्स्ट यूज नहीं. एग्रीकल्चर सब कॉन्टिनेंट 7000 क्रॉप्स लाइक बार्ली एंड wheat. Which of the following contrast Neolithic cultures of Kashmir, Murzaham with those of South India? Kashmir sites are known for pit houses, bone tools, while South Indian ash mounds. Kashmir sites close while Kashmir had cord marked pottery. Kashmir Neolithic predated the Harappan civilization, whereas the South Indian मेरे हिसाब से यही तो है. The history of South Indian presents a unique development. The history of South India represents a unique development sequence compared to North India. What is a remarkable feature of its prehistory timeline period of its Paleolithic evidence, with history beginning of Neolithic period? The clear, uninterrupted evolutionary process of Paleolithic to Mesolithic to Neolithic. The feature of its prehistoric timeline mentioned in the earliest evidence of urbanization in India predating the Harappan of Neolithic Iron Age megalithic. The history of South India presents a unique development of sequence. The absence of Paleolithic था, Mesolithic मिसिंग था. पैलोलिथिक तो हमें दिखा. पैलोलिथिक के दो हमें दिखे हैं, अतपरकम एंड पल्लावरम. वहाँ पे हमें कुछ दिखा है. बट द एब्सेंस ऑफ एनी पैलोलिथिक एविडेंस, ये तो फॉल्स ही हो गया. फिर तो ओवरलैपिंग ऑफ न्यूलिथिक. What primary feature differentiated of paintings of Mesolithic era? What primary feature differentiated of paintings of Mesolithic era? Mesolithic era from those of Upper Paleolithic. What primary feature differentiated the paintings of Mesolithic era? What primary features differentiated the paintings of Mesolithic era from those of Upper Paleolithic? Paintings are multicolored. Mesolithic paintings were used wash techniques or mainly scratching images on wall. Upper Paleolithic paintings are exclusively of animal figures, while Mesolithic include human figures. predominance of hunting and depicted family. ये तो ये कहीं ना कहीं सभी ट्रू है. What primary features differentiated? Primary feature ना, हाँ ये सब सही है. Hunting scenes and depicted family unlike the earlier art. Depicted family हो सकता है यार. The Middle Paleolithic period in India is marked by a shift in lithic technology. What was the predominant feature of this era? The use of large bifacial hand axes and cleavers. The first use of polished, नहीं ये तो Neolithic है. The introduction of tiny geometric microliths. Silica rich. Geometric हमें upper Paleolithic दिखता है. The dominance of flake industry producing smaller tools like scrapers, pointers and borers. What is the significance of discovery made by H.T. Sankalia on banks of Pravara River, Narmada Man and found ritual burial sites of Mesolithic? नहीं. Oh, with नहीं. It was the first dimension upper Paleolithic site in नहीं. But tools मिले थे यार. हाँ, it provided first evidence of Neolithic. नहीं. H.T. Sankalia ना, Sankalia वकांकर कहाँ के फिर? वकांकर Neolithic I think. It was identification of Pravara River ना. Pravara River तो Mesolithic कहाँ था? Middle Paleolithic. It was for discovery of various stone tools from this first identification Middle Paleolithic age. Wait. हाँ, Middle Paleolithic. Evidence of ostrich eggshells used as beads. ये तो बिल्कुल नहीं पता मुझे. Evidence of ostrich eggshells used as beads has been found at Indian prehistoric sites like Patne, dating 25,000 before P. What is 25,000? 2 सेकंड मेरे को बस ये सर्च करना. व्हाट इज ये BP बिफोर प्रेजेंट? ये क्या मतलब हुआ भाई? वेयर प्रेजेंट वर्ल्ड वाइड ये क्या है? ये BC यूज़ करा करो भाई. ये क्या BP बढ़ा दिया मेरा BP. कुछ भी भाई. The evidence is associated with the cultural period. Hint: consider the period when symbolic expression, art and personal adornment first became prominent. Symbolic expression वो तो upper Paleolithic में हुआ था. upper Paleolithic मैंने भाई क्या ना. The site of Lehura Deva in the Ganges Valley is significant for providing what specific evidence related to Neolithic period? Lehura Veda, Ganges Valley, the oldest Neolithic site. I don't know anything about it. The central Indian site provided crucial information about the cultivation of specific staple grain. For evidence of pit houses, तो ये तो बिल्कुल सीधा इसने बता ही दिया आंसर ही मुझे. अर्ली एविडेंस ऑफ राइस कल्टिवेशन हमें मिलता है 6500 BC. कहाँ? लेहरा वेदा न्यूलिथिक साइट है. Which human ancestor species believed to have been chief architect of lower Paleolithic age? Which shows the material mentions a possible shrine from the upper Paleolithic age period in Bhagor. What was the structure of this shrine? A burial site containing megaliths. Large pit house dug into कहाँ पे? भगोर, उत्तर प्रदेश. A crucial hut in post was burnt clay lumps. The recent earliest release site involves a specific arrangement of stones. A block of sandstone surrounded by a rubble circle. A block of sandstone surrounded by a rubble circle. भगोर, उत्तर प्रदेश. अपर पैलेलिथिक में हुआ था ये. भगोर में आदर करना पड़ेगा. In the Mesolithic age, people began using small stone tool designed with specific shapes. Which of the following describe these tools? Mesolithic age ना. Flake industry तो निकल ली. Microliths, geometric pattern. Which site of the Chapani Mound is noted as source material for what? Evidence of Burzahom Neolithic suggests trade with the Harappan civilization. The what evidence of Burzahom में से क्या निकला था यार? Use of burnt bricks in construction failure. So lapis lazuli. The sources do not say exact name but state that the Neolithic period of Burzahom traded with them. making this the correct decision. The Acheulean tradition of the Lower Paleolithic, characterized by hand, axes, and cleavers, is known to be absent in central regions of India, according to source material. What is the tradition absent? Acheulean tradition of Lower Paleolithic, characterized by hand, is noted to be absent in certain regions of India, according to source material. Where is the tradition absent? Acheulean tradition north में मेरे हिसाब से the Sohan River and northwest, Western Ghats, Central Coast, Northeast, पल्लावरम, अत्तिपकम तो वहाँ तो था ही, नर्मदा वैली ना मेरे को यहाँ लग रहा, but the sources that is listed regions lacking. The Western Ghats, coastal areas, northeast, Western Ghats, ठीक है. The megalithic 6000 is characterized by several distinct features which are not the abundance of iron, नहीं found, knowledge of agriculture थी उनके पास, burial sites थे उनके पास, वो megalithic culture, burial sites थे, और colored pottery याद नहीं यार, abundance तो था, the use of और किए नहीं था उनके पास, Chalcolithic period of northeastern, ठीक है उनके पास और पॉटरी थी, क्या था और पॉटरी थी, क्या और कलर्ड पॉटरी. The earliest evidence of complex surgical like procedure in India some comes from the Neolithic A site of Maharand. What was this procedure? Structuring bones like bone walls, setting features, drilling human tooth of a limb, sharpening and drilling holes into the skull, ये नहीं होगा. Suturing wounds using bone walls and animal sinew. Drilling a human tooth of a living person. Let's find a prelude of dentistry. अरे भाई नीलिथिक एंड मेहरगढ़ में ये सब हो रहा था. हम तो सोचे मेहरगढ़ अच्छी जगह है. ठीक है. Dentistry. What is the defining characteristic of Neolithic culture of northeastern India, such as sites like the presence of ash mounds? ये तो आसाम की है ना. Early cultivation, construction of pit houses, ash mounds ये नहीं सुना मैंने. ये shoulder access similarity, early cultivation, construction of pit houses, the use of shouldered axes and cultural similarity to Southeast Asia. The source material may describe the faunal evidence from the Mesolithic period. What does the presence of domestic animal bones of cattle, sheep and goats at site and others suggest? Animals were hunted and not domesticated. Humans began domesticating well period actually pastorates. Recent archaeological findings Kiladi and Thamirabani in South India are significant because they suggest possibility about the region's history. Reduce seafaring traders from the cultures and civilization. South India was indigenous origin and had urban features like the South Indian remained Mesolithic state. The Harappan civilization directly migrated. The culture. What was the significance of the shift to blade and bone to technology during the Upper Paleolithic age? By creating tools. More durable. They had increased cognitive ability and introduction of more refined tool making. 77% accuracy. चलो अभी ये नहीं करना भाई, टाइम लगता है इसमें तो बहुत मेरे हिसाब से. वैसा भी हमें कहाँ तक कर लेना चाहिए था. फिर हमने हेटेरोडॉक्स सेक्ट्स भी नहीं करा ना आज. इसमें हमें अलग से हेटेरोडॉक्स सेक्ट्स का इंडियन वेडिंग एंड महाजनपदास कर लिया, मॉरिन कर लिया, बीच में हेटेरोडॉक्स सेक्ट तो रह गया. लेट मी क्रिएट. पहले मुझे सोर्सेस सेलेक्ट करने पड़ेंगे. सोर्सेस सेलेक्ट करें. फ्लैश कार्ड क्या नाम था. Sets like Jainism and Buddhism. Flash card over here. Harappan. Who excavated the Harappan site on the river bank of Ravi 1921? Harappan ना Wheeler, Mortimer Wheeler ऐसे रहता. Wheeler and राधाश्याम नहीं, राधाश्याम साहनी, दयाराम, राधाश्याम भी कह रहा था. Mortimer Wheeler and दयाराम साहनी excavated Mohenjo-daro on the bank of river Indus. John Marshall and R.D. Banerjee. Who was the Harappan culture initially known as? Why was the Harappan culture initially known as Indus? Because it was found near Indus. Maximum concentration sites were near Indus. What was the Harappan culture initially? What the Harappan civilization renamed as Harappa was a dash, meaning the first site excavated type site. What was the recent name given by India? Sindhu Saraswati. Why was the Harappan civilization renamed as Sindhu Saraswati? Oh, Saraswati to because ancient Saraswati. The name Sindhu because name of river. Many sites were located on the bank of Gaggar Hakra river, believed to be ancient Saraswati. Okay. Which site of Haryana has been declared as the biggest Rakhi Gadi? The period existed of 2600 BC to 1900 BC. What did diffusionist theory proposed by Western scholars suggested by the origin of diffusionist theory suggested that the Aryans were the one who were the early Harappans, or pre-Harappans, but in truth it was Chalcolithic people of India who later turned into early Harappans and then turned into pre-Harappans. Oh, migrants from Mesopotamia. Oh, sorry. Migrants from Mesopotamia. Okay. How do modern historians believe the origin of Harappan civilization, rejecting the बता दिया था मैंने Chalcolithic culture. The origin of Harappan civilization directly traced from the dash culture. कौन सा Chalcolithic culture period नहीं. Chalcolithic, which emerged around 5000 BC. Chalcolithic, Ahar culture, Amri culture, Kotadiji culture. These were in Chalcolithic period. What were the two main occupations of the Chalcolithic? They were agriculturist and pastoral people, animal rearing. What evidences indicate the Chalcolithic cultures knew the art of textile? Wind whorls, spindle whorls. Sorry. What is described the chief marker for distinguishing among different Chalcolithic cultures? Metal used, painted potteries. Oh, we have many examples. Sites for it: Videha, Kaurava. Key feature of classifies cultures mature phase of as a civilization. According to source, what is the key feature that classifies a culture's mature phase of as a civilization? Lot of artifacts and evidences. Urban settlements. Okay. What material knowledge distinguishes the Harappan civilization? The knowledge of Krishna Ayas, which is iron. The knowledge of metallurgy of producing bronze by mixing of copper and tin. Okay. They got this from Chalcolithic period people. The Harappans used the dash technique or lost to Sirde Perdu technique. Sire Perdu. What type of art and craft item was initially found? Art and craft, terracotta was used. terracotta buildings. Which Harappan sites in Rajasthan has produced the earliest evidence of Kalibanga, and types of Banavali and Bhavalpur have produced evidence of terracotta plow. Oh sorry, 2 minute terracotta plow ना एंशियंट वाला और ये तो मैंने देख लिया शैलेंडर्स पेपर में पता था. Which Harappan city had makers factory supplied with shells from Chanhu Daro bead industry. And Mesopotamian king dated mentions trade with Meluha. An inscription from Mesopotamian king dated mentions King Sargon Alkhad. In Mesopotamian inscription, what region has been identified as Dilman, Bahrain? And what region has been identified as Magan, Makran Coast? The Mesopotamian what region? Maluha, the civilization or Saurashtra region of Gujarat. The discovery of dockyard Lothal, which site of Gujarat is greatest achievements of ancient civilization of India mentioned in which one of the greatest achievements of ancient civilization? Text Harappan. Which Harappa site is recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site? It is Mohenjo-daro. Fortified structures. What was the purpose of fortified structures? To protect from animals and mainly from flooding from water. Animals and alien people flooding भी था. What was the general town planning structure in Harappan? 2 upper town, lower town, and in Dholavira we see 3 types. It was done 2 levels, citadel and lower town acropole. Which Harappan site in Gujarat is an exception, leaving 3 levels? Dholavira site. The citadel and acropole is built for which section of society? In Harappan, citadel or acropole is built for upper elite section. The Great Irani and the Great Bath were found inside the citadel of which Harappan Mohenjo-daro. Which sector were Harappan towns designed involving intersecting main roads? What system? 90 degree में कर रहे थे. A grid pattern system. What unique feature characterized by what unique feature characterized by 225 let me change things a little. इसको रखो full, window capture को लाओ इधर, इसको रखो इधर. I think this is good. What unique features characterize the doors and windows of Harappan houses in relation to the main street? That no doors and windows were open to the main street. How did Harappans ensure hygiene and cleanliness in their town planning regarding drainage? How did the Harappans ensure hygiene and cleanliness in their town? Drainage system covered from stone slabs. What is the standard ratio? 1:1:2, and it was called British 1:4. Sorry. The Harappans used 2 types of bricks, mud and burned, but which type was more profoundly used? Burned. What was the name of the typical brick arranged style used by Harappans to provide set to their structure? The name of the typical brick? British bond style. The evidence of water reservoirs and Dholavira. Dholavira points to Harappan knowledge of what system? Rain harvesting system, water reservation system, water conservation management. What were the 3 main agriculture products of Harappans? Agriculture products? I don't know. Wheat, barley and cotton. Okay. The Greek writings, what word was used for cotton identifying origin near the river Indus Sindhu? Cotton के लिए सिंदौन. क्या है? Greek writing में cotton को सिंदौन कहा गया. The evidence for which two animals has remained doubtful in Harappan civilization. The evidence for the evidence for which two animals has remained doubtful in Harappan. The evidence for which two animals has remained doubtful. Cow and dog, cow and horse. The finding of granaries, Harappa, Mohenjo-daro, and Lothal indicates what economic condition? That they had surplus of foods. Unlike Macedonian, Harappans generally did not use dash for canal irrigation for farming. What was the basis of Harappan trade and commercial system? As evidence of coins is missing barter system. What was the primary purpose of Harappan seals? To identify, use as trademarks for products produced by different size trademarks. According to modern studies, social inequality in Harappan society was based on economic factors. The finding of slave quarters near a granary in Harappa suggests the possible practice of what institution? Slavery. The finding of mother goddess and dancing girl in Mohenjo-daro, mother goddess, I think in Harappa. Of Calcutta society may have been matriarchal. Matriarchal. Script is believed to be a pictographic script written in the Bostrophedan style. बड़ी जल्दी लौटा दिया.
अरे तो वहाँ रखा था लेके.
कल ले गए थे, आज
हाँ, तो
लौटाया.
ले लेना. सब मम्मी
बहाने मारो बहाने.
शाम के मेरे साथ सब्जी लेने चलेगा ना.
कितनी शाम?
जब आ जाएंगे बाप तो.
किसका बाप?
6-7 बजे.
चल लेंगे. What language family is the Harappan language thought to belong to? Dravidian, Proto-Dravidian. The remarkable uniformity in is a strong central authority, possibly controlled by which class? Purohits and priestly and merchant class. Like in Mesopotamia and Egypt, what type of religious structures have not been discovered? Temples were not discovered. What is considered the biggest religious structure of Harappan people? Used for Great Path, Mohenjo-daro. A seal of male deity John Marshall wrote Shiva, worship of which Hindu god? Lord Shiva, Pashupati, Lord Shiva. The worship of the mother goddess in Harappa is seen as a persecutor of the Shakti cult. The evidence of altars or dash has been found. Harappan site, Agni Vedika. According to scholars, the Harappan civilization likely declined between which years? 1900 to 1700. What specific environmental factors cited? Climate change, flooding, diversion of rivers, dryness of rivers. Oh, Mohenjo-daro and Chanudaro flooding. What specific environmental factors to Rakhi Kadi and Kalibangan, dryness of rivers. Harappan civilization opposed to its culture and tradition which continued. What primarily declined in Harappan civilization as opposed to its culture and tradition which continued? Declined, its manufacturing sector declined. The features of urbanization and the urban sectors. Okay. What proposed the Aryan invasion theory? Who proposed? Oh, for the decline of Harappa, citing the Rigvedic god Indra as Purandar. याद नहीं मुझे. Mortimer Wheeler and V. Gordon Child. Who have modern historians rejected? Why have they rejected? Because there is a 200-year gap. Great job, thanks you. Heterodox sects का बन गया क्या? Philosophy quiz. भाई है ना, गुस्सा अलग रखो. रीनेम कर देते हैं. Indian flashcards इसका post Vedic contributed to the rise of heterodox. अच्छा ये rename heterodox sects. Temple quiz एक how much time do we have? Let us see. हाउ मच टाइम डू वी हैव? सॉरी, यहाँ नहीं देखना, 0। तो आज के लिए यहीं अभी के लिए बंद कर देते हैं। मतलब अभी आके दोबारा थोड़ा और पढ़ने की कोशिश करेंगे। पहले तो कोशिश करेंगे कि आज मैं चाहता था रिवीजन पूरी रहे कि कल थोड़ा आंसर राइटिंग, पर मेरे हिसाब से आज और कल का पूरा दिन लग जाएगा रिवीजन करने में। अभी हमने इसी में कहाँ तक पहुँचे? हमने सिर्फ कंप्लीट करा है प्री हिस्ट्री एंड हड़प्पन बाय talking about notes and then doing quizzes and flashcards about it, but we still have to do Indian Vedic period, Mahajanpadas। पहले मेरे हिसाब से वैदिक पीरियड कर लें, हेटेरोडॉक्स एक्ट्स का करते हैं अभी बस। महाजनपदास को पूरा करने के बाद व्हेन मॉडर्न एम्पायर स्टार्ट्स वी विल फर्स्ट डू दिस, और हम मेरे हिसाब से लाइन से करना चाहिए, ऐसे एक एक पूरा करने के बाद नहीं करना चाहिए। उसके बाद मॉडर्न करेंगे, पोस्ट मॉडर्न करेंगे, साउथ इंडियन करेंगे, ऐसे ही करते हो जाएंगे। फिर टेम्पल का अलग से कर लेंगे, गुप्ता पोस्ट गुप्ता, लाइन से जाएंगे फिर। ठीक है, मैं देते मैं कोशिश करूँगा अभी मैं बाहर जाऊँगा तो मैं वहाँ पे भी कर लूँ, तो आई विल नॉट वो वाला, अगर मैं करूँगा तो मैं काउंट कर लूँगा अलग से टाइम। आके बताऊँगा सेकेंड स्टेज में जब हम करेंगे स्ट्रीम।